This week is Parshas Chukas. A major theme of the Parsha is the war between the children of Israel and the two Amorite kings, Sihon and Og. It's a continuation from the beginning of the book of Bamidbar, specifically Shalach, when Moshe sends spies into the land of Canaan to look over the land. He also has, more in the beginning of the book of Numbers, he has a census of the population, not the whole population, but for those that will serve in the army. The idea of conquering the land of Israel. This is a continuation of it. There has been a break for 40 years because of the rejection of the land of Israel by the generation that left Egypt. Now, the children of Israel are in fact ready to enter the land of Israel, and the first steps are the first step actually is when they request Edom that they be given permission to pass through their land to start the advance on the land of Israel from the south. Edom refuses, and the children of Israel then go north, and the strategy at this point is, instead of entering through the Negev desert, it's to cross the Jordan and enter the land from the east, the first city being Jericho. What happens is that they ask Sihon, who's the king of the Amorites, for the right to pass through his land in order that they should begin the conquest of the land of Canaan. Sihon is more hostile than Edom, and he actually goes out and he attacks the children of Israel. He is totally beaten, and he himself is killed, and his people are expelled from the land. Then Og, the king of Bashan, little bit north, also attacks the children of Israel, and the children of Israel are again victorious. Okay? And they seize his land, and they begin to settle it. The settlement actually starts a little bit later with the Bnei Reuven and Gad asking that they be permitted to keep this land. The Chumash also details the border between the land of Sihon and the land of Moav. And the children of Israel are specifically cautioned against seizing any of Moab's lands as well as seizing any of Edom's land. The caution does not extend to seizing any of Sihon's land, and the Chumash clearly considers their seizure of that land legitimate. The basic idea being that the seizure of land in war is legitimate. In the haftorah, it continues with the development of this idea because the children of Moav, 300 years later, claim that Israel's occupation of the land of Sihon is not appropriate because it's in fact their land, because Sihon seized that land from Moav. You could say, well, it's like kind of like seizing stolen property, still stolen. The owner has the right to recover it. What Yiftach, who is the judge of that time, the head of the children of Israel, responds by saying that essentially that the God of Israel gave them this land, and that if they seized it, he asked rhetorically, should Moav possess it? This idea is also developed, or really is introduced in the first pasuk of the Chumash, Shis bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'etz haaretz, that God created the land and earth. And the Rashi brings Rabbi Yitzchak from the Gemara, says, why did the Chumash start with this pasuk? He says it's because in the future the nations of the world may say to the Jewish people, you're thieves, you stole the land of Israel from the 7 nations. And he says the proper answer is to say that the world belongs to God because he created it, and he can give whatever he wants to anybody else, and he can take what he gave to one nation and give it to another. The verse from Psalm 111, it's verse number 6, is broad. It says, Koach ma'asav higid la'amo, l'seis lehem nachal goyim, that the power of his deeds he declared to his people, to give them the inheritance of the nations. Okay, you could say, if you have an all-powerful God and he's giving land to his chosen people, let him give them an uninhabited land. Why should it have to specifically be one that is in the hands of a number of kings? Have a lengthy war, 7 years, and continuing wars after that. And this seems to be the essential idea, that to demonstrate the power of God, that God is a man of war, in the words of the Song of Moshe at the Red Sea, and that he has the power to uproot one nation from its land and then give it to whomever he wishes.